Hey Andrea, how's it going?
Hey, good.
Good. Full disclosure, me and Andrea used to work together at the pulp mill. I was in the union that she's currently in. So just a little bit about Andrea. You're a machine tender at the mill, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're Tech 1?
That's right.
Yeah. So that's the highest position in the mill, correct? Or in that department?
It is, yeah, for the paper makers, yeah.
Cool. And your role at the union is?
I am the recording secretary for Local 30. Yep.
For Local 30, Unifor Local 30.
Yep.
And that represents all the labor workers at the mill?
At Irving Pulp and Paper, that's right.
As well as some maintenance workers as well?
Yep, so we're probably about 60% operations folks on the floor and about 40% maintenance, so millwrights, pipe fitters, welders.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And instrumentation.
Instrumentation?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys just had an annual meeting of some sort, right? The union?
Yeah, so actually it's beyond our union. So we just had our first pre-COVID meeting with the St. John Council of Unifor Locals. I want to make sure I get that right. So that includes Local 30 at the pulp mill, the local at Irving Tissue, the local at Irving Paper, two locals at Irving Paper. They're both Unifor. Unifor local at Lake Utopia. It's the 2002 local in St. John area, which is Air Canada, and 506, which is Bell Alliant.
Oh, cool. So it's a bunch of unions working together.
Yeah. So basically we made a little task force, which is kind of our Unifor national model.
Okay.
To do for community outreach. So we get together quarterly and decide what initiatives in the area we're going to support and how we're going to do that.
Okay, so that's quarterly.
Yeah.
So it's not, okay, sorry, I thought it was annual.
Yeah, but just our first one.
This is the first one of the year?
In a while, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, with COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha, yes. Very cool. So you have things mapped out, like that you're going to go through the next quarter?
Yeah, so we have like a running calendar of activities that we have supported historically.
Okay.
So we often support the Nick Nicole Center, One Change in the North End. We do local food collection for food banks. We do toiletry collection and stuffed purses for the Ignite Purse Project in November.
Okay.
We do pajama drives. We do a Labor Day barbecue, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those donations go to various clubs or groups around the city?
Yep. So some people will come and ask for support, and some are people that we've agreed to partner with in any way that we can, so they're usually our first stop. And if other people pop up along the way that need help or need support, or we hear of things in the community, like Coverdale Women's Center, we support them regularly.
Okay.
Then we sort of go on an as-needed basis per quarter, what's coming up and who needs the most help, and
cool.
Is it people power, or is it money, or is it things that they need? So
okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, and the unions you listed off that are all working together, they're all in the city here, or are they across the province?
Yeah, with the exception, we have one union that comes up from Charlotte County, but it's St. John and surrounding area, I guess is how you'd label it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you have any specific things you want to talk about that are coming up that the public can be involved with, or anything like that?
The public will probably see coldest night of the year posters are up around certain locations, so that's going to be February 25th. Usually it's a march and it's in support of collecting, food and clothing for people who are struggling with shelter and homelessness at that time of year.
Okay.
We've already approved a $500 donation to that event.
Oh, cool.
But you will see that we're going to participate in the march. And
okay.
Yeah, you'll probably see us also collect donations as we get a little bit closer to whatever they need more specifically.
Okay.
Sometimes we like to kind of come in after the fact and say, what didn't you get? Like what's left and how could we help?
Okay.
Because sometimes people donate the same things over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of times it's like, oh, it's batteries, or it's, things that I wouldn't have thought of. It's not just socks and hats and mitts or.
Yeah. I guess they wouldn't know what they need until, they don't see it in the collection pile.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's interesting.
So that'll be our first initiative for the year. We have an ongoing date now with the North End Food Bank. So we just take some people over the last Wednesday of every month, whoever's available. That's just Local 30 doing that for now, but we're going to open that up and include other locals because they have some bigger stuff they'd like done, painting and rearranging some shelving and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that, and I'm sure we'll help with collections or be looking for donations as we sort of build that relationship. That's sort of new for us.
Okay.
But they're in need and they're super grateful, so we're happy to help with that.
Can anyone can make donations if they want?
Yep.
To the food bank?
Yep, absolutely. We'll probably do it as a group, but certainly through our social media and other media, we'll hopefully be able to get the word out of what they need specifically.
Yeah, okay.
So whether it's cash or whether it's time or specific items.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they do like a pickup service where someone who wants to donate but doesn't have a way to get to the food bank?
Not yet, but I love that idea.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool.
Maybe that's something we could be doing for them.
Yeah, maybe you could do that in like social media, plan a pickup time or something like that.
Yeah. No, we haven't thought of that, but I like that.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that's the food bank.
Yep. And then our next thing that we have decided on as of last week is for, we have done in the past an Easter bunny drive, so a chocolate drive basically for Joshua Group.
Okay.
So depending on how many kids they support, we would gather as much as we could, and then drop that off to them when they're ready for it at Easter time, or we can even help with distribution, but I think they have that kind of down pat.
Okay.
So we'll reach out to them and see what those kind of numbers are. That'll be closer to Easter.
Okay.
And the other thing that we're going to start doing is reaching out to retirees. So if there's any of those locals have a retiree group, most of them don't have an actual chapter, but we would love to fill in some time if they are bored and wanting to help. So we're going to try to expand that too.
That's a great idea, because those retirees would have tons of skills, and like you said, some of them might not be using those same mechanical skills they used to use, or those kind of like handyman skills they used to be using.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And a lot of them have time. Some of them tell me they have no time now, but that they're busier than ever. But yeah, I think a lot of them want to help. They're just not sure really where. So it's a good way for everybody to kind of meet and come together. Yeah. That's a good group.
It's a good group, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about what you're doing with the union, because it is sometimes hard. Sometimes people want to help maybe, or they don't really necessarily know how to help, or where to go, or what to do, or what's most required, or what would be most helpful.
Yep, exactly.
So,
I think that for me, that's absolutely the reason why I got involved. You know, it started with that. It became activism and workers' rights, and all of that actually came after the fact. It was just like, how can we help? How can we give back a little bit? So I'm happy to be a little bit of a conduit for that step. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice too. Like, that's a great thing that a union kind of has the power to do, since it's built around labor and kind of like a collective unit.
Yeah,
it's nice to use that power image or whatever, that kind of force to.
Well, and you have a collection of people who like to assemble already. So it's like, let's.
Yeah, they recognize the power in numbers, like how you can accomplish more if you have a group people working together. Yeah, you're right. That's interesting.
Solidarity trickles down. I guess.
Solidarity, great.
Yeah. And our next thing after that will be a presence at the National Day of Mourning. So they have a memorial in Rockwood Park by the Lily Lake Pavilion, and we always participate in that. So that sort of wrapped up our, I guess, winter session of things to do. But hopefully now that COVID's not such an issue, I guess, we'll be able to have a good group gathered there, and we always lay wreaths and pay our respects for people who were injured or lost their lives on the job.
Great. That's good to hear. So going back to that march, is that that's on the 25th of February? And where does that take place? Where does that start at, you know?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I will find that out. I'll figure it out. I actually just talked to some people for the Moncton one, but I haven't actually nailed down. But last time I think we went, I forget what the building's called, where we started, up by St. Joseph's Hospital, and I think around King Square and back.
Okay, cool. And just to clarify, that's just the union doing that, or is that like anyone can participate?
That's anyone. The community does that. We're just a participant, but we try to get a good group to those things so that we can help. Sometimes there's not a lot of participation because it's so cold and it's no one wants to be out and about at that time, but I think it's important, especially we have a huge problem in the city right now with homelessness, and it's very visible, and I think that's a good way to drum up support.
For sure. And it's interesting, I mean, it is a cold night to go out and do one walk, so it's kind of like, imagine if that's your reality.
I know, that's it. And I mean, people are really seeing it now. You know, you're seeing the people in their tent communities. You know, you can't ignore it. So I think that's good. I think they'll have a good turnout. Yeah, it's a new situation, and like, I think it's always been there in New Brunswick a little bit, but it was hidden pretty well. I spent some time living in Montreal, so it was obvious, like, homelessness was just part of the equation. And so when I started to see it here, it didn't necessarily shock me, but it made me realize, like, this is going to be shocking, I think, to a lot of people around here, driving up the highway and seeing a mini tent gathering of people that don't know what else to do. And it's very strange, I think, to be happening around here. I think so too. I think just I don't know if pandemic times pushed people too far, or if cost of living increases have pushed people too far. I don't know. I'm not sure how people get their circumstances thrown upside down, but obviously that's what happened to them, and so I think there's a good push to try and help. There's a lot of different, like, outreach programs that are starting to pop up too, which is good. So there's sort of an answer to that. But we got to support them. If it's a new problem, it's hard to probably for everyone to actually figure out the root causes, but
as it goes on, I'm sure, like people, like the union, everyone's working towards trying to
figure that out and trying to help them. And you know, sometimes we think we know what people need.
Yeah.
But I find the best thing to do is ask them.
Mm-hmm.
Let them tell us what they need.
Yeah.
Right? And they will, and that's how we answer, right?
Yeah.
Tell us what you need and we'll try to make it happen. So
Yeah.
hopefully we get a good turnout and a good response and they get a stockpile of things that can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. And I'll do like maybe a little PSA or something for the march if you find out the location.
Yeah, I'll send you, there's posters around. I just haven't really looked at the details, but I'll send it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, perfect.
Sure.